Madam President and Senators, good morning. Jeremiah 29:11 states, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for good and not for evil, to give you a future and hope." Today marks a new journey for many of you as senators in this honorable upper chamber. There may be many goals, thoughts, and plans that are swirling in your minds. Some of you may be excited by the chance to be a part of this wonderful team, while others may have hoped to be at a different place. But God has wonderful plans for each of you, and I want to encourage you to embrace this opportunity to serve our wonderful country in this juncture in our development. Today begins the journey of your senatorial journey. And I want to say in the words of Maya Angelou, if you're going to live, leave a legacy, a mark on the world that cannot be erased. I want to challenge you to be determined how you would like to be remembered for your time of service in the Senate, and start today developing your legacy. Remember, you are investing a day of your life in this service today. Do not be, I want to encourage you to not take this opportunity for granted. God has afforded you this opportunity to serve. You are favored among many. So serve with a heart of integrity, a spirit of excellence, and with humility. Remember, many will evaluate and critique you. Always do your best. But there are many who will pray for you and who will encourage you. As senators, how you live your life is the rent you pay to God for the gift of life. And I want to also share with you that you stand on the shoulders of many who have gone on before. Make them proud. Galatians 6:10 says, "So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good for everyone." May God bless you in this new journey. And I always believe the best is yet to come. Let us pray. Heavenly Father and precious Lord, I thank you for Madam President and all our senators. May they embrace the opportunity to serve with unity and for the good of our country. Heavenly Father, I pray that you will bless the plans for their lives and may they be established. Protect them and their families, and I declare Psalms 91 over their lives. Favor and bless them, O God, and may your favor and blessings run behind them. May they serve faithfully, may they serve with integrity, may they be men and women of humility, and may they serve us unto you. In the precious name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Please join in the prayer of our Lord, our Father. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Honorable Senators, at the opening of the new parliamentary session, I had to forego the naming of members to the various sessional committees due to a minor housekeeping matter. Because the sessional committees are part of the construct of the Parliament, I will complete the construction of the institution by now naming members to the committees. Ordered that the following senators be a committee of privilege. Senator the Honorable Ryan Pinder, Senator the Honorable Darren Pickstock, Senator the Honorable Reuben Ramming. Ordered that the following senators be a committee of the library. Senator the Honorable James Turner Roll, Senator the Honorable Dr. Eresia Hepburn, Senator the Honorable Maxine Seymour. Order that the following senators be a committee of statutory instruments. Senator the Honorable Ronald Duncombe, Senator the Honorable Kirkland Russell, Senator the Honorable Vienna Gardner. Ordered that the following senators be the Broadcasting Committee. Senator the Honorable Tyrell Young, Senator the Honorable Barry Griffin, Senator the Honorable Maxine Seymour. Order that the following senators be a committee of the Senate Rules and Business Committee. Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, Senator the Honorable Darren Henfield, and Senator the Honorable Barry Griffin. Adoption of minutes.
Madam President, I move for the adoption of the minutes of the meeting of the Senate held on Wednesday, the 6th of October, 2021.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of October, 2021 be adopted. As many are in favor, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes of the 6th of October, 2021 are adopted. Motion for leave of absence, leave to resign seats.
Madam President, I rise not on a motion of leave of absence or leave to resign seat, but I rise to move a resolution for the immediate consideration of Senate. This resolution was passed in the other place. It, because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions that we have to observe in terms of attendance, I would like for the Senate to adopt the following resolution. Resolved that the register of this Honorable Senate reflect that every senator is present in order to protect the reputation of those senators who are absent because of the COVID-19 protocol that requires physical distancing.
Is it,
I second.
as many of that are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Resolution is agreed and adopted. Introduction and swearing in of new senators. Communications by the President. Good morning, senators and colleagues again. I wish to thank the Governor General for his warm hospitality and excellent speech from the throne during the opening of Parliament. Indeed, we have a lot to accomplish in this upper chamber towards the betterment of the Bahamian people. I also wish to thank the Reverend Carla Culmer, President of the Bahamas Conference of Methodists, who has graciously accepted the call to serve as this Senate chaplain. Her godly devotion and prayer over these proceedings this morning were timely and inspirational. We thank you and we look forward to further spiritual guidance. I am truly grateful to God that on this 8th day of November 2021, some 292 years after the inception of the Senate, we have been appointed at such a pivotal time in Bahamian history to vet, debate, and pass legislation to ensure that the work of the people is accomplished with purpose, integrity, honor, and distinction. From a historical perspective, the upper chamber has always been regarded as a democratically refined place with deeply entrenched decorum, decency, and respect for fellow colleagues and mankind. Collectively, we must do our utmost to maintain this elevated standard so that our legacy will demonstrate that the 2021 Senate composition adhere to the tenets of respect, democracy, and fairness, that we held intellectual yet practical debates and courageously accomplished a great deal for the Bahamas. Each of you received a package of documents that included a copy of the Senate rules and procedure. I implore you, acquaint yourself with these rules. As your president and chief presiding officer, I hereby assure you that I have every intention of administering our rules in a fair and impartial manner to both sides. As we commence today's proceedings, I wish to underscore the following rules. Before speaking, a senator must be recognized by the chair. A senator who stands on a point of order must firstly state the infringement of the rules on which his point of order is based, and then resume his seat, his or her seat. When a point of order has been raised, the senator who is speaking shall resume his seat. After the point of order has been stated, the president shall rule. A senator shall not dissent from the ruling of the president except by substantive motion. Senators, I admonish that you give this upper chamber the respect it demands and not depart from or disregard our established rules. Should you depart from the rules, I give you fair warning that my actions will be swift and decisive. Nothing ought to interfere with advancing the agenda of the Bahamian people. Once again, senators, I congratulate each of you on your appointment to this place. As so happened in the Bible with David, Joseph, Ruth, and Esther, the God of unmerited favor has, in his wisdom, allowed our season to change. Although some may not feel qualified for this new season, I can assure you that God doesn't always call the qualified, but indeed, he qualifies the called. As recipients of his unmerited favor, we must serve with humility, kindness, compassion, and a grateful heart. I am particularly reminded that the psalmist David warns us that pride goes before a fall. Furthermore, senators, we must allow our collective individual representation of the upper chamber to embolden our deportment, not only during sessions and debates, but in every aspect of our lives. Always remember the need to give back to this nation and our communities. These are serious and difficult times in Bahamian history, and I implore you to remember that the legislation we debate in these halls will have direct impact on families who have been adversely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, people who are still struggling to recover from Hurricane Dorian, men, women, and children who are having difficulty making ends meet, and so many more. As a Senate body, I would like for us to be unified and go the extra mile to bring awareness and educational campaigns to address acute national issues facing our beloved land, such as climate change and the environment, the importance of being vaccinated, healthy eating and wellness, and gender and racial equality. I believe that this Senate can make a noticeable difference. Our roles here are not for our own glory, but for the empowerment and the betterment of our great nation. Finally, I would like to extend sincere condolences to the family of the late Maudie Newton of Bain and Grandstown constituency, and in particular, her dedicated daughter and my dear friend and colleague, Calverna Small. Our thoughts and prayers are with the entire family during a difficult time of loss. Personally, I remain grateful for the opportunity to serve my beloved country at such a time as this. I look forward to working alongside all of you, and I thank you. Messages from the Governor General. Order that the President's communication lies on the table. Messages from the Governor General. Messages from the House of Assembly.
Messages from the House of Assembly.
Bahamas number 1. Message to the Honorable the President and the Honorable members of the Senate from the Speaker and representatives of the Honorable House of Assembly. The House of Assembly acquaints the Honorable the Senate that they have agreed to the following resolution and desire the consent of that Honorable Chamber, namely, resolved that a humble address be presented to His Excellency the Governor General, thanking him for his most gracious speech at the opening of Parliament. House of Assembly, Nassau, 4th November 2021. Patricia DeVoe, Speaker.
Laying of documents by the ministers.
President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following. The emergency powers, COVID-19 pandemic management and recovery, Bullocks Harbor and Great Harbor Key lockdown amendment number 3 order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document lie on the table. Further lying of documents.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the emergency powers COVID-19 pandemic management and recovery, Bullocks Harbor and Great Harbor Key lockdown amendment number 4 order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the emergency powers COVID-19 pandemic management and recovery, North Andros, Central Andros, and Cat Island lockdown amendment number 2 order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery, North Andros, Central Andros, and Kid Island Lockdown Amendment Number 3, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery, North Andros, Central Andros, and Kid Island Lockdown Amendment Number 4, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery, North Andros, Central Andros, and Kid Island Lockdown Amendment Number 5, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Amendment Number 3, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Amendment Number 4, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Amendment Number 5, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 2, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 3, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 4, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 5, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 6, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 7, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 8, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 9, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 10, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 11, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 12, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 13, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 14, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Number 2, Amendment Number 15, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Amendment Number 16, Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery Special Provisions Amendment Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Disaster Reconstruction Authority Special Economic Zone Relief Number 2, Amendment Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Industries Encouragement Approved Product AIR 20 Manufacturing Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Family Island Development Encouragement Special Economic Program Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Value-Added Tax Holiday Hurricane Preparedness Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Public Holidays Independence Day 2021 Variation Order 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Financial Transactions Reporting Amendment Regulations 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Bahamian Dollar Digital Currency Regulations 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Price Control General Amendment Number 5 Regulations 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Price Control General Amendment Number 6 Regulations 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Price Control General Amendment Number 7 Regulations 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Credit Reporting Designation of Credit Information Providers Notice 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Electronic Communications and Transactions Ministry of Public Works Notice 2021.
Order the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Public Holidays National Heroes Day 2021 Opening of Shops Notice 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation National Museum of the Bahamas report for June 30th, 2017.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation, the National Museum of the Bahamas report for June 30th, 2018.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the IRCA 2021 Annual Report and 2021 Annual Plan.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Thank you, Madam President. And finally, Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the Senate a copy of the following: the Securities Commission of the Bahamas Annual Report 2020.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table.
Finally, Madam President, I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the following: the supplementary budget draft estimates of revenues and expenditure 2021-2022.
Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table. Communications by ministers.
There are none, Madam President.
Communications by senators. Questions. Answers to questions. Presentation of petitions. Appointment of select committees. Reports of committees. First reading of bills.
Madam President, move for the first reading of the Supplementary Appropriation 2021-2022 Recurrent Account Expenses Bill 2021.
Order that the document be brought up. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a first time and tabled. The act may be cited. A bill for an act for the appropriation of further diverse sums of money for and towards defraying the expenses of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during the fiscal year commencing the 1st of July, 2021 and ending the 30th of June, 2022. Is there a seconder? I'm sorry.
Second.
As many as are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The order that the bill be read first time.
A bill for an act for the appropriation of further diverse sums of money for and towards defraying the expenses of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during the fiscal year commencing 1st of July 2021 and ending the 30th of June 2022.
For the first reading of bills.
Madam President, I move for the first reading of a bill for an act for the reduction in the appropriation of diverse sums of money and for and towards defraying the capital expenses of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during the fiscal year commencing 1st July 2021 and ending 30th of June 2022. Second.
Order the document be brought up. A bill for an act. It's been moved and seconded. And the following bill will be read. For the as many A bill for an act for the reduction in the appropriation of diverse sums of money for and towards defraying the capital expenses of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during the fiscal year commencing the 1st of July 2021 and ending the 30th of June 2022. As many that are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Order that the first reading of the bill lie on the table.
A bill for an act for the reduction in the appropriation of diverse sums of money for and towards defraying the capital expenses of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas during the fiscal year commencing 1st of July 2021 and ending 30th of June 2022.
Further first reading of bills.
None, Madam President.
Second reading in committee of bills. Committee of the whole Senate. Third reading and passing of bills. Consideration of House amendments. Resolutions. Chair recognizes the honorable member, Michael Halkitis.
I received it.
Honorable Senator Michael Halkitis. The chair recognizes.
Thank you, Madam President.
You have the floor, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise to move for the adoption of the following resolution. Resolved that a humble address be presented to His Excellency the Governor General, thanking him for his most gracious speech from the throne.
Is there a seconder?
Madam President, I would like to begin by congratulating you once again on your elevation to the position of President of the Senate, and to congratulate all senators on their appointment. Having served previously in the Senate and in that other place, I consider myself a senior man, and so I welcome all senators and wish them well. Some of you have been candidates in elections, and for some, this is your first foray into frontline politics. I encourage all of you to bring that passion and desire to serve your country that led you to the front line to your participation in the Senate. You have all been chosen for a reason: your talent, your vision, your desire to serve. The nation is watching, your family is watching. Let us always endeavor to bring an informed, civil, higher level debate to this place. Some say that we are a stamp. Let us show our value to the national discourse. Our discourse is supposed to be at a higher level. And I echo the words of Madam President in her introductory remarks this morning to encourage us that even though we may at times get into the heat of debate, let us all strive to educate, to inform the Bahamian people, and to really be an example of what debate, philosophical discussion of philosophical differences can be. And so at times we can disagree without being disagreeable. I'm privileged to stand here before you as a leader of government business in the Senate. It is an honor to play a key role in steering this administration's agenda through the upper house. I would like to thank His Excellency, the Governor General, for his most gracious speech from the throne. The speech perfectly explained the Davis administration's vision for bringing a new day to the Bahamian people. I'm also grateful to the Prime Minister for his demonstrated confidence in me in appointing me to serve in his cabinet and as the Minister for Economic Affairs. Madam President, on September 16th, the Bahamian people voted decisively for change. Since that historic day, This administration has been hard at work from day one to deliver, as promised, for our people. We promised the Bahamian people that we would make research-backed changes to the emergency orders. We consulted with medical and public health experts, and we delivered that change. This included altering the curfew and the way in which emergency orders were enforced. We have moved away from a punitive model to one of cooperation. We decriminalized the violations of the emergency orders, and we stopped the persecution of the Bahamian people. We promised to introduce free testing, and currently people in our family islands have benefited from the free testing pilot. And in short order, we intend to expand this throughout the country. We said that we would ensure that there were enough vaccines in the country to get every Bahamian who wanted to be vaccinated, and we are delivering on that promise too. Businesses that have previously been prohibited from opening have been allowed to reopen and re-employ staff that had been furloughed since the start of the pandemic. Other businesses have had their hours of operation extended, and I'm sure that these businesses and their employees are grateful for this new day. In just a few days, Madam President, water sports operators will be allowed to begin operating safely again after completing a training course and demonstrating the ability to comply with the existing protocols. We said that we would get rid of any rules that did not align with the latest research, and as you can see, we delivered as promised. This has all been done with the Bahamian people in mind. Madam President, there were naysayers who said that our approach would not work, yet the proof is there for all to see. We said that we would take a leadership role in a global stage when it comes to climate change. Well, as the Prime Minister showed the world this past week at COP26, we are delivering as promised. Of course, this is just the beginning. We are barely at the dawn of the new day. Many of our most impactful policies are just being developed. Madam President, as we have said time and again, priority number one is to win the fight against COVID-19. We have made significant progress in that regard, but the fight is far from over. Even countries with higher vaccination rates than ours are bracing for potential upticks in COVID-19 as winter approaches. This administration knows better than to take premature victory laps. This is the time to prepare, build up resources, and get as many people vaccinated as possible. Healthcare workers can be sure that the Davis administration will listen to them and support them with the resources they need to get their work done. And we will continue to implement our holistic COVID-19 plan. Madam President, if COVID-19 is the number one challenge facing this administration, our fiscal and economic health must be number two. We know that there's no getting the economy fully back on track without effective management of the pandemic. But this has not stopped us from making transformative steps already. We understand that in the current fiscal and economic context, we cannot simply cut spending while we wait out our economic woes. We likewise cannot tax ourselves out of the pandemic. The government must do its part to stimulate economic growth. Madam President, the Davis administration is taking a big picture approach to national development, economic growth, and fiscal health that requires fundamental changes to existing models. As forecast in our blueprint and in the speech from the throne, a supplemental budget has been tabled in the other place and in this place this morning. And during the ensuing debate, it will become clear the broad impact that that supplementary budget is intended to have. Within that budget are a number of adjustments to the 2021-2022 budget, which will serve as a foundation for the administration's agenda. Bringing relief to those who need it, addressing the government's fiscal situation, and stimulating economic growth are the immediate priorities. Yes, part of our plan is the introduction of an across-the-board cut in VAT, a reduction that our research has shown will yield savings for everyday Bahamians while stimulating consumption at a critical moment in our economic recovery. Existing models indicate that this change will produce a positive impact across all major sectors in our economy, as well as on national employment and income levels. But even beyond the tax reduction, there's much relief that we have brought forward. Along with the tax decreases, we have the return of the RISE program to provide Bahamians with debit cards for direct cash transfers. We have the increase in pensions, with those typically making the least amount per month in pensions receiving the largest increases. We have made the decision to resume annual increments for civil servants so that their salaries can keep pace with the rising cost of living. We have extended the National Insurance Board Unemployment Benefit Program to December, and those who have been receiving $100 per week through the program will get a lump sum payment of $500 in December. This is a much needed support to assist Bahamian families. So, Madam President, just a recap of all that we are doing to respond to the needs of the Bahamian people. We are implementing an across-the-board cut in VAT, lowering the overall cost of living. We are increasing social assistance to our vulnerable population through the targeted intervention of the RISE program. We are increasing pensions that will benefit retired civil servants. We are returning to the incremental pay increases for civil servants. We are extending the unemployment benefit program with an additional $500 lump sum payment just in time for Christmas. I can tell you, Madam President, that many critics would have told you a few months ago that these promises of relief were just political rhetoric. They said not one of these promises could be done when we came into government. Some even asked if we wanted to be elected in such a challenging environment. Yet, Madam President, here we are, less than 3 months into our term, and we have 5 major relief initiatives coming to the Bahamian people. We are here to lighten the burden of the people who need it the most, our elderly, lower income earners, and the unemployed. Madam President, along with responding to the needs of the Bahamian people, the government is also setting the foundation for sweeping fiscal reform. These reforms include improved revenue collection through the Revenue Enhancement Unit. Progressive reforms will also be developed by the new Revenue Policy Committee, which will be comprised of some of the brightest financial minds in our country. I am echoing the words of the Prime Minister in saying that the era of mismanagement, shoddy fiscal discipline, and indecisive governance is over. We are getting this nation's finances back on track. As we move forward with our fiscal and economic agenda, one key economic priority will be mobilizing resources towards the development of a long-term solution for our ever-increasing public debt, for which we will be guided by the Debt Advisory Committee. And I want to take this opportunity, Madam President, to thank all of those financial experts who have agreed to serve on the Debt Management Advisory Committee. It is being chaired by former Minister of State for Finance, the Honorable James Smith, and some very, very well-qualified, experienced, and accomplished Bahamian financial experts. Many Bahamians are alarmed by the level of our national debt, and it is something that must be addressed in a systematic manner, and we are going about that, Madam President. Madam President, in a speech from the throne, the Governor General outlined the Davis administration's vision for a better, brighter future. This administration is not interested in doing business as usual. We are not interested in small, incremental changes. Our transformative agenda is primed to bring broad, sweeping changes to every area of our society, starting with the government itself. We will make amendments to the Public Disclosure Act to include campaign finance reform, with prosecution for those who run afoul of the law. We understand that it's not just important for the rule of law to be observed, but it also must be seen to be observed. Many members of the public feel that the application of justice depends on the socio-economic background of the accused. Whether there is truth to this or not, it is problematic that members of our society feel this way, and we are putting in place the framework to ensure that when those at the top break the rules, they are held accountable. Our anti-corruption legislation will enforce higher standards of conduct for public officials. Senior officials will be called on to lead by example. This idea that there are different rules for the political class and the common man must be done away with. Under this administration, procurement policies will be more transparent and more efficient, ensuring that all government engagements and purchases are done in accordance with the highest standards. This may not be the highest profile or exciting policy issue, Madam President, but it is very important that we put an end to inconsistent discretionary procurement procedures. Fairness must be the order of the day. To complement these reforms, we will also bring greater transparency to public financial management so that it is clear who is receiving government funds and that the government is getting value for money. Madam President, we will be embarking on an ambitious social change agenda. We will be establishing a national skills registry and aligning training programs with this registry. Through this effort, we can respond to labor market demand by filling skills gaps identified in our labor force. We will make the necessary expanded investments in technical and vocational training. The speech from the throne spoke to our plans to diversify tourism and reimagine existing marketing strategies. Further economic diversification will take place through our focus on the orange, the blue, and the green economies, the so-called colored economies. In many of our family islands, we see opportunities for sustainable development, ecotourism, agriculture, and manufacturing. In Grand Bahama, we see further potential for financial services and technology. Each and every island will be equipped with its very own economic development plan, which will seek to leverage its existing strengths. Competent, progressive leadership means that we will be taking a more holistic approach to tackling crime. Policing and direct crime fighting measures are necessary, but we will also be funding social interventions and community initiatives designed to reduce the overall crime and recidivism rates. My ministerial colleagues are leading the way for major changes to take place in the education system. We will be doing the same with healthcare, specifically when it comes to expanding access to national health insurance and national catastrophic health insurance and building new health infrastructure. When it comes to the environment, we do not just intend to show leadership on the global stage, but we have established the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources to demonstrate the same leadership at home that our Prime Minister and technical experts are demonstrating internationally. Madam President, as Minister of Economic Affairs, I am charged with driving key areas of the government's economic development agenda and tackling long-standing areas of concern. These include economic development and planning, promotion of financial services, trade and industry quality standards, ease of doing business, domestic investments, small business development, statistics and data protection, arbitration, digitization, amongst others. As the government prepares to put the worst days of the pandemic behind us, we are focused on the key drivers of economic growth. If the past few years have taught us anything, it is that we cannot continue to be passive about our national development. To proceed with the economic and revenue models of the past would be a mistake. We cannot go back to business as usual. What we need more than ever are big paradigm shifting ideas. For our administration, this means delivering a more diverse economy through investments in technology, renewable energy, sustainable tourism, and the blue, green, and orange economies. It means ensuring access to emerging opportunities within these growing sectors as an essential step to moving this country forward along a path of growth and progress. The government will do its part in spurring innovation. In financial services, we are broadcasting to the world that we are a safe harbor for financial services and investments. In my short time as minister, I have already participated in several promotional events to deliver this message. And the new paradigm, Madam President, is you participate in these events via Zoom and WebEx, and other electronic means. Our intention is to work closely with government stakeholders, the Bahamas Financial Services Board, the Association of International Banks and Trust Companies, the Bahamas Institute of Financial Services, and other industry and private sector groups to chart the way forward and to spot the emerging opportunities in the global financial services market, which is rapidly evolving. We will continue to identify niches where we can be most competitive while remaining proactive about our response to the ever-evolving global standards and regulations. Madam President, the Ministry of Economic Affairs is charged with leading on the government's ease of doing business improvements. And we all know that this is an area that has needed improvement for many years. Notwithstanding the elimination of the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report, which published ease of doing business rankings, we must continue to pursue improvements in starting a business, getting construction permits, getting electricity, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvency. In our Blueprint for Change, we outlined our plan to improve the ease of doing business by revamping and streamlining processes at the Bahamas Investment Authority, Registrar General, the Department of Inland Revenue, and other agencies to become more business-friendly for local and foreign investors. We must also work towards better facilitating international trade and providing more access to capital for business owners through the Small Business Development Center and other funding agencies. We recognize that economic growth is largely driven by small businesses. We therefore remain committed to small business development and increasing access to financing through government funding. Agencies like the Small Business Development Center, the Bahamas Development Bank, and the Venture Capital Fund will continue to have a significant role to play. Every Bahamian business owner, Madam President, no matter how big or small the business is, will be empowered. A major focus will be placed on generating business opportunities in the colored economies. Within the blue economy, we will create opportunities within the ocean sciences and explore opportunities within marine biotechnology and aquaculture. We will promote opportunities in the orange economy. Long ago, we had a people-to-people program. We will be identifying immersive cultural experiences where we can strengthen our tourism product and provide opportunities for local artists and creatives. That's a way to say people-to-people program, Madam President. We are pursuing reforms to the National Intellectual Property Framework, which will help creatives to protect their intellectual property in easier and faster ways than before. Within the green economy, we will be investing in agricultural growth and a sustainable local lumber industry, amongst other identified opportunities. My ministry, Madam President, is specifically focused on domestic investments. So the opportunities I'm talking about will absolutely include Bahamian entrepreneurs. There is a long-standing perception in the Bahamas that we roll out the red carpet for foreign direct investors while we leave domestic investors or local people to fend for themselves. We will put policies in place to change that perception. Bahamians on every island must have access to the same kind of funding opportunities, land grants, land leases, tax inducements, concessions, and incentives that foreign direct investors have access to. Madam President, digitization will play a huge role in the Davis administration, and this is also a significant part of my portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Affairs. We recognize that it is time we push the government processes into the 21st century, or further into the 21st century. We all know the key role that digitization will play in speeding up processes and improving ease of doing business when it comes to government services. For the public service, we are exploring digital document management solutions to securely store and organize government files and automate workflows. We will expand the public services digital capacity to further streamline these processes. Let's be clear, Madam President, we are not only talking about replacing paper documents with digital documents or replacing in-person processes with digital processes. We are talking about completely transforming the way government does business in every way conceivable. We are talking about faster processing times, the use of data analytics and machine learning to inform smart policies, and enhance access to e-services throughout the Bahamas. The government will be investing a number of resources, including the existing $30 million IDB loan, to see the digitization process through to completion. So we have ease of doing business, digital transformation, island-specific economic development, support for small business, and diversification beyond tourism into untapped industries. These are all interconnected parts of a forward-looking agenda to modernize the Bahamas for global competitiveness in the 21st century. The Ministry of Economic Affairs work is simply a part of the wider vision that will be supported by infrastructural development, reforms in tourism and foreign direct investments, and the public health and education systems. Madam President, I think we all agree that Bahamians are ready to put the bad times brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic behind them. They hired this administration to get the job done, and this is a responsibility that we take very seriously. I believe that our blueprint for change will produce sustained, positive change for the Bahamian people. We are going through some tough times, but I have faith that our policies will lead this nation to a better day. We are ready to launch newly conceived policies, embrace innovations, and shift the paradigm for national development in this country. We are aiming for big changes because we believe that Bahamians deserve a country where they can dream big dreams and where those dreams indeed can come true. Thank you, Madam President, and may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Is there a seconder? The chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Darren Pickstock. Senator Pickstock, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise to second the resolution to thank His Excellency, the Governor General, for his gracious reading of the speech from the throne. Madam President, it is a humbling privilege to have been appointed to serve and now stand in this place. I thank God for his continued covering, the Honorable Prime Minister for his confidence and the support that I have received from friends and family, the leadership, membership, and supporters of the governing party, and well wishers from the wider population. Madam President, what we profoundly observed yesterday, 7th November, serves as a core contributing component to our being in these historic walls draped with democracy today. Yesterday was Remembrance Day, Remembrance Sunday, which marks the end of the world wars and the tremendous sacrifices that made it possible for us to live in the democracy which we enjoy today. Madam President, we remember the fallen, inclusive of the 4 Royal Bahamas Defense Force officers who died on HMBS Flamingo. Madam President, I would like to extend condolences and remember the late baby Bella Walker and the tragedy she suffered. This underscores the importance of our duties in this honorable place. Madam President, never in my wildest dreams did I envision myself, the son of Philip Pickstock Sr. from Andros, my father, a school principal who traveled throughout the length and breadth of this country for over 40 years, educating our Bahamian children, and my mother, Estherlyn Pickstock from Acklands, who is still employed in the public service for over 36 years, standing in this chamber, charged with a mandate of contributing to change in our Bahamas. Madam President, the speech from the throne in our Westminster parliamentary system, which sets the framework, ideology, priorities, and vision of a government in a legislative session. We in this legislative chamber should be excited, ignited, and all fired up to do our job. Indeed, the speech from the throne represented a bold, ambitious, aggressive, progressive, and focused agenda for the Bahamian people and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. There are some specific and key components of the speech from the throne which I wish to highlight. These are designed to best equip our country for the challenges of a world still transitioning from the COVID-19 pandemic. I wish to focus and underscore, as the learned Senator Alcides, who went before me, a few of the areas in his ministerial portfolio. One is ease of doing business. Two, housing, land reform, and crown land. Three, digitization. And four, energy reform. Madam President, we are all cognizant of the fiercely competitive world that we were in before COVID-19. We became more acutely aware of our vulnerabilities after the devastation of Hurricane Dorian. Today, all over the Latin American and Caribbean region, our countries have scaled just like ours, and those with much bigger economies are out there beating the pavement in search of attracting clean and responsible foreign investment to drive their economies, create better lives for our people, and fund critical infrastructure. The speech from the throne went straight to the point. The government announced and explained in some detail how seriously it is taking the precarious position in which our country has found itself. The World Bank and other world investment authorities show our country is slipping in the ease of doing business. What I find rather amazing is that the concept is called ease of doing business. When you hear the word ease, it just suggests comfort and lack of frustration, smooth sailing, red tape, duct tape, caution tape, scotch tape, all gone. So tell me, how is it that in the last 2 years, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas saw itself slip from its ranking, where we stood at 118 in 2019 to 119 out of 190 countries in 2020. Instead of moving higher on the list published by the World Bank, the Bahamas slipped further down. This is no time to assign blame, point fingers, or look for political brownie points. I submit that we, honorable senators, must see it as our duty to use this bully pulpit that we have been appointed to in order to push and teach and teach, reach and reach into every facet of the instrumentation and regulations and statutes and national security interests and concerns to get our Bahamas up to where we belong, in the top 50 countries known for ease of doing business within the shortest possible period. Madam President, I'd like to turn to page 4 of the speech from the throne, paragraph 2, and I will read, and I quote, "My government will focus on issues that will rescue, restore, and strengthen the economy." Further, on page 6, paragraph 7 of the speech, it reads, I quote, "My government will transform the approval process and launch Bahamas Invest to retain competitiveness and mobilize local and foreign investors to grow the economy." The Ease of Doing Business Index ranks countries against each other based on how the regulatory environment is conducive to business operations and stronger protection of property rights. Economies with a high rank of 1 to 20 have simpler and more friendly regulations for businesses. Madam President, our current status on the World Bank list is simply unacceptable. the Bahamas is underperforming relative to our Caribbean economies and even small economies within Latin America. The government is showing leadership in addressing this critical area of concern. Madam President, the government is seeking to significantly improve the Bahamas Ease of Doing Business ranking through the creation of Bahamas Invest. Bahamas Invest will ensure investment projects for Bahamians and non-Bahamians are no longer unnecessarily delayed by red tape. Bahamas Invest will manage a new model to move projects on track. Bahamas Invest, I wish to advise, should be given access to data which is important to their fact-finding and delivery. This is not the time to stand by with our hands in our pockets and our fingers ready to send out social media blasts and continue to wallow in cynicism. We have to grow beyond this behavior, which we sometimes display where we say that since it is not my job, don't look to me to assist, help, or advise. Well, I would like to state that any and everything that advances the cause of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is the job of every Bahamian. No one should have to ask you to love your country. The success of the terms of reference of Bahamas Invest transcends any political agenda. It is about the success of the Bahamas. Bahamas Invest, therefore, must conduct its operation in the full glare of the sunshine. No prima donnas, all hands on deck, working together to show how we as a people can achieve this noble goal of getting ourselves out of the administrative straitjacket when it comes to ease of doing business. I have every confidence in the Honorable Minister for Economic Affairs to provide the austere, affable, and diligent leadership to see this goal achieved. Madam President, our job as legislators will be to push and assist and guide and lead and encourage consensus among all of the relevant stakeholders in assisting Bahamas Invest in its duties. We should set national goals for our country and our people. We must find exciting ways to involve our people in the support, participation, and work required to achieve these goals. Every civil servant, every private enterprise and agency involved in the process of ease of doing business should be submitting ideas and suggestions to Bahamas Invest. It should be a goal that every Bahamian should work towards with pride to be engaged in this effort to get our country into the top ranking of the World Bank's ease of doing business. While Bahamas Invest leads the charge, let it be the Bahamian people and the concerned interests which drives this most focused of our national priorities, a national consensus. Madam President, I want to briefly touch on housing and land reform. I am pleased that the speech from the throne recognizes the critical importance of housing, land reform, and crown land. On page 10, paragraphs 5 and 6 of the speech from the throne, it reads, and I quote, "My government considers housing to be a basic right. Through programs and policies, it will increase access to affordable homes. New Providence subdivisions will be developed using public-private partnerships, and my government will return to building houses for Bahamians. For many whom home ownership represents the stability, security, independence, and freedom of reaching adulthood. This is a major milestone in one's life. The housing industry is closely tied to the economy. When home sales are up, so are jobs. In addition to bolstering our economy, research shows that many social benefits it provides, including increased volunteerism, improved health, and less crime. I welcome the government's commitment to return to building houses for Bahamians. One of the issues of land reform and Crown land, Madam President, access to land and the opportunity to own land, we all would agree, is one of the greatest ways to generate and build wealth. In the publication of The Mystery of Capital, Why Capitalism Trumps in the West and Fails Everywhere Else by Peruvian economist Hernando de Soto in 2000, he argues the poor, he argues, are often unable to secure formal property rights, such as land titles to the land in which they live or farm, because of poor governance, corruption, and or overly complex bureaucracies. Without land titles or other formal documentation or their land assets, they are less able to access formal credit. Political and legal reforms within countries, according to De Soto, will help to include the poor in formal legal and economic systems, increase the poor's ability to access credit, and contribute to economic growth and poverty reduction. I look forward to the government's initiating a land adjudication process to settle commonage and generation property issues and address the backlog of requests for Crown land immediately. Madam President, our Bahamas is this wonderful archipelago that the God of amazing things has given us. Our tourism, our foreign investment, climate, and second home attraction to hundreds of persons gives us the formidable challenge of navigating some peculiar circumstances. To the non-Bahamians going online and looking at luxury real estate in the Bahamas and the offering of permanent residency and other concession, the Bahamas continues to perform in this market. However, we must ensure that we work to allow the professional and average middle-class Bahamians to be able to afford a range of property purchases and not just to be able to afford government housing, because property prices are market-driven by what others can afford, whilst the Bahamian on his income and the regime of mortgage financing is yoked and challenged. Our tourism economy is driven in very large part by our second home market, and hundreds of Bahamians find employment in that sector. The challenge for us is to create and sustain an economy where Bahamians are not left out or simply cannot qualify. The boom of a new middle class in the early 1970s through the 1990s need more room for growth and expression. In 40 years, Nassau and Freeport created, via public and private investment, more than 400 subdivisions, which allowed Bahamians of several strata of earnings to own a nice home in a nice subdivision and raise their families. Madam President, I am encountering too many young Bahamians who cannot afford to own their own homes. They just don't qualify. Market forces in the real estate market may be driven by external considerations. Madam President, this is one of the economic empowerment challenges we face in the new Bahamas. I will encourage the Honorable Minister for Economic Affairs and the Honorable Attorney General to factor these into their deliberations in another place. We must move forward, upward, onward, together. That is our charge. That is our national motto. A man's home is his castle. Any turn away from home is a turn on the wrong track. And if you are on the wrong track, you then must turn back. Those are not my words, Madam President. Those are the words of the father of our nation, Sir Lyndon Pindling, spoken in 1994 to a national audience. Madam President, the third point I would wish to touch on very briefly is that of digitization. On page 6, paragraph 3 of the speech from the throne, it reads, and I quote, "My government will introduce legislation to facilitate a comprehensive program of digitization for our country. Policymakers today face an environment transformed by information and communication technology, ICT. More people today have access to data generated globally. More people today have access to a mobile phone than to electricity. The amount of data generated globally is expanding exponentially. And in every country, leaders of government and business are deciding how to promote and structure the digitization of their economies through their policies and strategies for ICT, internet access, communications, media, and digital applications. Madam President, these choices have enormous consequences. Countries that have achieved advanced levels of digitization have realized significant economic and social and political benefits. Simply put, digitization is a pathway to prosperity. And while the Bahamas has made some advances in this regard, we are falling disproportionately behind. I am encouraged that the government is committed to advancing this initiative. As the Honorable Minister of Economic Affairs has said, the government is further digitizing and automating government departments and agencies, as making it easy for people to do business in our country serve as a catalyst for growth. Utilizing data analytics to enhance decision-making, as this allows for better, more sound decision-making, and making the right decisions will impact our future. Facilitating the financial technology fintech revolution, which will improve the automate and delivery and use of financial services in the Bahamas. Provision of specialized training in this area of technology will ensure a skilled workforce is in place to achieve the digital transformation. Madam President, before I sit down, I want to just touch briefly on energy reform. Nothing better sums up the energy alternatives available to the Bahamian people like the watchwords of Radio Bahamas. Come on, we all know it. We heard it all of our lives, Madam President. Only the sun covers the Bahamas like Radio Bahamas. We know that our infrastructure is in many core areas needs serious overhaul. We know and we have seen the inconvenience of overhead power lines and the delivery of power in an island nation prone to hurricanes. We know the dangers presented by rising sea levels, and we know the dangers that can be ours. On page 5, paragraph 1 and 2 of the speech from the throne, it reads, and I quote, "My government will also introduce measures to encourage renewable energy industries in solar, wind, and ocean thermal energy. My government recommits the Bahamas to a minimum reliance on renewable energy by 30% by 2030. Madam President, all eyes were on world leaders recently at COP26. Our Prime Minister, in the presence of these world leaders, made it clear that if we do not achieve this globally, the Bahamas will continue to feel the grave effect of climate change. He also noted that the Bahamas is among the top 10 most vulnerable nation states in the world. Madam President, I support the government's intention to reduce the reliance on fossil fuel in the Bahamas and transition to LNG and other forms of cleaner fuel. I am encouraged that the government is committed to energy reform by incentivizing Bahamian businesses, owners, and homeowners through initiatives such as providing 100% financing for residential renewable energy systems, implementing reverse metering to reduce BPL's consumption, and incentivizing solar energy via tax incentives. Creating opportunities and incentives for entrepreneurs in renewable energy sources, especially solar. I welcome the government's commitment to review BPL's operation within the first 100 days in an effort to reduce the cost of electricity, maintain reliable supply, and enter into contractual arrangements which would put BPL on a solid financial footing, and most importantly, reduce the cost of living and doing business in the Bahamas. Madam President, I do not want to stand here and be considered as just another smart aleck Bahamian who is able to converse converse all day and night on what the problems are, but falls asleep immediately when the conversation turns to solutions. We all know the country is filled of such professors and doctors, unsigned letters to the editors, faceless pundits, learned men and women, and they are not ashamed or timid to use social media to let everyone know what is wrong. But alas, they are silent on how to make it right. I want to use this opportunity given to me to serve to further advance the vision, dreams, ideas, and ambitions of persons of my generation. I want to bring concerns to this legislative level and work with everyone here to bring relief and solve problems. Madam President, we need to go back to a time when service was about service and not about self. We did what we had to do to advance the nation, not because of what we thought was in it for us, but because we knew it would wipe the tears from the eyes of the hungry and homeless and the tired, the weak, the sick, and misguided. Our parents wanted the best for their neighbors, children, as did for their own children. Let us let the whole world know that in the Bahamas, they can still find the most hospitable people on the planet, and we are indeed our brothers and sisters' keeper. Madam President, in closing, I would again like to express my gratitude to His Excellency, the Governor General, for his gracious reading of the speech from the throne. All plans are laid with good intentions. The difference between a good plan and a great plan is execution. I look forward to working with each of you in the weeks, months, and years ahead in executing the government's agenda. Let us commit ourselves to service above self. May God continue to bless the citizens, residents, and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
It has been moved and seconded that the following resolution be agreed. Resolved that a humble address be presented to His Excellency the Governor General, thanking him for his most gracious speech at the opening of the Parliament. As many, the chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Darren Henfield.
Thank you.
Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise by the grace of God to contribute to this debate on the speech from the throne delivered on the 6th of October And in so doing, I wish also to join colleagues both in this place and in the other place in thanking His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius A. Smith, Governor General, for his adroit delivery of the government's policies and plans to fulfill its legislative agenda in the new day. Madam President, permit me once more to congratulate you on your appointment and to applaud your stated intent to act with impartiality and equality in the execution of your duties in these hallowed halls. I would also like to commend the Bahamian people on their commitment to the tenets of the democratic process, which manifested in the peaceful transfer of power on the 16th of September, 2021. Madam President, the Word of God teaches us in 1 Thessalonians 5:18 that in everything we ought to give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. And so I thank God for the privilege of being appointed to this honorable place with the hopes, maybe with some hubris, that my participation will benefit the Bahamian people whom we have all come here to serve. I also thank Dr. Hubert Alexander Minnis and the leadership of the Free National Movement and the people of North Abaco for affording me the privilege and opportunity to serve as a member of Parliament and in the country's executive during the last term. I couldn't do so, Madam President, without the support of my wife and children, and so I thank them also. Permit me this opportunity to extend heartfelt condolences to the families of Mr. Clee Edgecombe of Cooperstown and Mr. Leslie Chicken McIntosh of Foxtown. Please be assured that our thoughts and prayers are with you as you go through this time of bereavement. I look forward to being with you all on Saturday, Lord willing, as we pay our final respects. We must, each of us, in our own way, do all we can for as long as we can to make this little country of ours the absolute best little country in the world. In fact, Madam President, as stated by our leader in that other place during his contribution to this debate, the opposition agrees with a number of initiatives in the speech from the throne. But all I'm saying is, where we don't, we will be the first to let you know. That's why we will not oppose simply for the purpose of opposing. But please rest assured that we will always seek to act in the best interest, in our view, of the Bahamian people. Madam President, English novelist J.B. Priestley once wrote the following, and I quote, "I have always been delighted at the prospect of a new day, a fresh try, one more start, with perhaps a bit of magic waiting somewhere behind the morning," end quote. So the heralding of a new day gives us another chance for a fresh start, one more start, but we should hold no delusions. We come into this new day with most, if not all, of the same old challenges we faced yesterday. And these include, but are not limited to, our full recovery from Hurricane Dorian, the COVID-19 pandemic, an ailing economy, affordable housing shortages, further digitization, and a myriad of social challenges we face as a people, all of which and more were acknowledged in the speech from the throne. Madam President, no one can deny, at least not reasonably, that the economic woes inflicted on the Bahamian economy by the twin calamitous events of Hurricane Dorian, fueled by the climate crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, were real. Undoubtedly, the frequency and ferocity of these extreme weather events, fueled by global warming or climate change, remains among the seminal issues of our time. The threat climate change presents to small island developing states like ours can never be overstated. Madam President, the principal offenders gathered in Glasgow for COP26 last week where we eagerly await tangible results for our country, the world, and this region. The Prime Minister's intervention at the conference was, to say the least, compelling. I was particularly pleased when the Prime Minister pointed out to the world that a recent study declared that the Bahamas had the cleanest air in the world. He went on to inform that other studies have shown that our distinctive, beautiful aquamarine seas are a magnificent carbon sink. I only wished, however, that the Prime Minister could have unequivocally and emphatically stated that his government would never allow our seas to be exposed to the potential destructive risks associated with oil exploration. You just can't talk about green climate funding, renewable energy, and then go prospecting for crude oil. You can't do that. Madam President, Hurricane Dorian, which I personally experienced in Abaco, cannot be discussed in isolation to the COVID-19 pandemic, which came along just 6 months after Dorian ravaged Abaco and Grand Bahama for what felt to me to be like about 3 days. Most analysts, including the Inter-American Development Bank, have estimated that the total cost of the impact and effect of Hurricane Dorian on the Bahamas is around $3.4 billion. But we never know what it cost us emotionally. The far-reaching impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is unlikely to be known anytime soon. The pandemic may very well be the health crisis of our time. It has consistently and unceremoniously taken the lives of our loved ones while simultaneously disrupting our livelihoods and economy in ways that we have not seen since perhaps the Great Depression. Madam President, it was our administration that moved as quickly as humanly possible to procure vaccines, to set up an effective vaccination program, to introduce safe travel protocols, and to move to online learning for our children, among other things. What we desperately need now, though, as we are apparently moving to relax protocols in the fight against COVID-19, is for more Bahamians to be vaccinated so that our struggling economy might be fully revived, whilst simultaneously alleviating the overwhelming pressure on our healthcare system. This will only happen through a relentless effort to educate our people on the benefits to each of us when we are all vaccinated. And I pray God, Madam President, that we in this place, these hallowed halls, have all been vaccinated. And so we can, you agree with me, Senator? And so that we can be in this place as family, as we seek to do the people's business. I assure you I won't be long. We must find ways to enable our touristic-reliant economy to be able to withstand exogenous shocks, such as precipitated by the 2008 global economic crash, the events of 9/11, and more recently, this insidious COVID-19 pandemic. Bahamians must be at the forefront of any and all initiatives intended to drive farming and fishing in this country. Farming and fishing, I believe, are the patrimonial right of Bahamians. We must stop at no end to incentivize, encourage, coax, and cajole as many as will show a desire to readily engage in farming and fishing toward our national objective of realizing food security as a people. Madam President, talk of diversification of the Bahamian economy without taking meaningful and positive steps to do so is a luxury that we can no longer afford. Although most, if not all of us, will readily agree that tourism and foreign direct investment will remain the bedrock of our economy for the foreseeable future, we must diversify our economy. As a nation, we can no longer afford initiatives in farming and fishing that are aimed toward food security. Therefore, I wholeheartedly embrace and applaud the government's intent to continue on a path to food security by embracing technology and the advancements thereof in both farming and fishing in our country. Madam President, advances in digitization represents a perfect fit for an archipelagic regime such as ours. In other words, our continued embrace and development of technology will make life a lot easier for the people all over the far-flung islands of this Bahamas. If there is one good thing, if you could say one good thing came out of COVID, that was resultant of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is that it pushed us more deliberately toward embracing technology to make life more palatable. More advancements in our digitization program will bring much needed facilities such as telemedicine, passport, and other services. You know, we put them all over some of our family violence, and we wish to see that continued. To where our people live. That's what we should use technology for. To take it, the essential services that are needed for the Bahamian in Inagua and Matthew Town to the one all the way in Grand Key, that he or she should be able to go online and literally order a passport and have it delivered. Go online and literally in a doctor's office somewhere in Matthew Town and have an expert medical opinion given to them so that they can be properly treated and not disenfranchised because they don't live in the city or the confines of the city. Madam President, I too subscribe to the view that affordable housing is a human right. However, access to affordable housing remains among the greatest challenges of all Bahamians. And that's not just to say in Abaco and Grand Bahama, where thousands of homes were impacted by Hurricane Dorian, but all across this country. As such, I was very pleased to hear the intent to build more than 150 homes in Abaco. The availability of this number of homes, coupled with the near 50 promised by the Bakers Bay Group and those planned by the Ministry of Housing, will go a long way toward addressing this long-standing housing challenge that we face. I ain't picking no fuss today, man. I'm picking no fuss today. When you get up, you deal with them dorms. They tell me this place over here is more collegial, and we should elevate. We should leave them bad practices we learned over there. Right, Senator Alcides? and come over here and really lift things up. We cannot, however, seriously look at providing housing for Bahamians in need and not address the issues associated with the many irregular communities in Abaco and in other places in our country. These communities manifest far too many inequities, inequalities, and inherent risks to those who reside in them and to the wider Bahamian communities. And so the status quo simply cannot remain. So when we go to Abaco and we seek to build homes, we must be able to look at the farm and other areas like that. And those who are entitled to have homes, right, should be a part of the process. Must be a part of the process. We saw all too well what Dorian did in Abaco when it came ashore on the 1st of September in 2019. Madam President, the myriad social challenges we face as a yet developing nation, state, oftentimes appear insurmountable, particularly those which touch and concern our young people. It was Sir Lyndon Pinley, you'd be interested in this, at the 20th PLP National Convention on the 28th of October, 1975, who prophetically stated the following, and I quote, "To ignore young people is to limit national development. They represent a tremendous burden on the country's financial resources in terms of provision of proper education and adequate health services. Gainful employment becomes a priority matter as these thousands of young people join the labor force annually," end quote. That was 46 years ago. Since then, the challenges among our young people have deepened and become more entrenched. So I'm very interested, even anxious, in seeing what the modalities of the proposed community youth service and the National Youth Guard will look like. You know, I left my parents' home in Dundestown, Abaco, in an area we call Block 30 at the age of 18 to join the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, but I stayed officially for near 36 years because I wanted to serve my country. I don't think I'm sadomasochistic because I continue to do so in these other places, right? The Defense Force gave me a purpose of belonging to something grander. It instilled discipline, provided a constant brotherhood, and taught me the importance of sovereignty and patriotism. The benefits of serving cannot be quantified. And so, Madam President, apart from providing a truly constructive opportunity for many of our nation's otherwise socially misaligned young people, it is my considered view that our well-thought-out youth programs of community youth service and of the National Youth Guard will offer purpose and focus and direction to those who embrace the concept. But I'm old enough to know what happened in 1975, where partisan politics sort of derailed this idea that Sir Lyndon had to cause young people to find more purpose in our country. And if there's ever a time we need that, is now. And so I implore the government to do all it can to avoid politicizing this move or push towards engaging our young people through these various programs. And we can figure out ways to do that because we have churches, we have youth group organizations, we have NGOs, we have other people that are involved and have been working assiduously with our children since time immemorial to make this a reality. And so with those short remarks, Madam President, I thank you and I rest. You all can do better. I'm sorry. All right.
As many, the chair recognizes Senator the Honorable Brian Pinder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Better believe it. Good afternoon, Madam President. Today I rise to thank the Governor General on his most eloquent speech from the throne. A speech that lays out the agenda and frankly the mandate of this government. It is clear based on the speech that the PLP government intends on governing in order to lift up all Bahamians and this country as a whole, not just a few and not just select islands and not just select communities like the prior F&M government did. I want to thank the Governor General and I want to wish him well. On September 20th, I had the esteemed honor to be appointed as the Attorney General for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It is a tremendous honor, and in my profession, the pinnacle of public service. It is a position where I can give back to my country, where I can lift up my people, and have an influence on what this beautiful country will be for all of us to live and to prosper in. For that, I am tremendously grateful, and I want to personally thank the Prime Minister for the trust and the confidence he has demonstrated in me. And I promise you, I will not let him down. I will not let his government down, and I will not let the Bahamian people down. Madam President, this is a big job, and there is a lot to do. And unfortunately, as a direct result of the performance of my predecessor, there is a lot to fix. I would be remiss not to say that if I had made the decisions in the private sector that my predecessor did while he was the Attorney General, I would most definitely be found to have committed malpractice and certainly would have been fired by my clients. Madam Speaker, I guess his clients, the Bahamian people, did in fact fire him and his colleagues on September 16th of this year.
Point of order. Madam President, the Attorney General knows quite well that you don't come to this place making such statements without information to support being placed before these hollow halls. I mean, if he's not going to support what he's saying about the former Attorney General, he ought to withdraw it.
Senator
if my good friend and colleague would just allow me to finish,
Yes, Senator.
he would have the facts to support the basis for which I say.
Yes. He will support.
Madam President, unfortunately, there are several anomalies and questionable decisions by my predecessor that upon taking to office in just 7 short weeks as Attorney General have come to light that I think the responsible thing to do is to let the Bahamian people know. Madam President, we are all aware of the blatant political prosecutions of Shane Gibson and Frank Smith. I do not have to rehash their successful defense of their matters. Needless to say, there was more politics in those matters than justifiable accusations. Their acquittals alone are proof of this. I think it important that the Bahamian people know the expenses that they are responsible for, that the people are responsible for, with respect to these political prosecutions. I want to lay out the context for you, Madam President. Between November 17th and August 21st, August 2021, let me say that again, between November 2017 and August 2021, the Office of the Attorney General, under the prior Attorney General, spent some $3,457,688 in legal fees with its 2 primary foreign law firms in the United States and the United Kingdom. This isn't really an alarming number, as the government of the Bahamas has the need to source legal advice from all over the world. And these 2 law firms are long-standing law firms of the Bahamian government. What is alarming, Madam President, is the amount of funds expended on the failed political prosecutions. The former Attorney General spent $807,755.87 of the Bahamian taxpayer dollars with foreign lawyers on the prosecution of Shane Gibson, and $290,903 on the prosecution of Frank Smith. 2 political prosecutions that failed. Added together, Madam Speaker, the former government spent approximately $1.1 million on failed political prosecutions. This is an astonishing 32% of all of the fees paid to the government's primary foreign law firms over a 4-year period on all matters in the country. 32%. Unconscionable. This is in addition to the time taken by respective attorneys in the Department of Public Prosecution, whose time clearly would have been better served prosecuting legitimate criminals in the Bahamas. Madam President, I also think important to speak to the decisions that were taken by my predecessor regarding the controversial hiring of the non-Bahamian senior lawyers in the Department of Public Prosecutions. First and foremost, I want to be very clear. I have no brief against them personally. There's nothing to indicate that they are bad persons or that they are not qualified attorneys in their home jurisdiction. The mischief, Madam President, lies in the decision that there are no Bahamians qualified to be senior prosecutors in the Department of Public Prosecutions. That's despite the director being Bahamian and scores of senior and qualified Bahamian lawyers who have gone through the Department of Public Prosecutions and who are currently either at the department or at the Office of the Attorney General. In fact, many of the justices currently sitting have experience as being prosecutors in the Department of Public Prosecutions. Madam President, I want to be clear on our philosophy as the Progressive Liberal Party. It has been our philosophy since the party was formed. We in the PLP believe that Bahamians are qualified, that Bahamians are smart, and that Bahamians can hold positions throughout the government and throughout the country. Bahamians always have been and still are qualified to be senior attorneys in the Department of the Public Prosecutions. Needless to say, Madam President, I support Bahamians in these positions. The mischief, however, goes beyond the hiring of these foreign lawyers to hold posts that Bahamians are qualified for. The former Attorney General, knowing the controversy, knowing the lawyers in question were unable to be called to the Bahamian bar, knowing the position of the Bar Council, and I may say the profession at large, and knowing that their actions were subject to judicial review, extended their contracts just a few months ago for another 2 years. The decision-making process is clearly flawed, Madam President, and an indictment of the attitude of the former administration towards Bahamians. Madam President, I, as the sitting Attorney General, have requested of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to terminate these contracts. Again, not because I have a brief against the individuals and their competency in their home jurisdiction, but because of the circumstances, the Bahamian people are not getting value for dollar. I have also embarked, Madam President, on a reorganization exercise of the Department of Public Prosecutions, where qualified Bahamian prosecutors will be elevated throughout the department to be able to more effectively prosecute trials. And this includes Bahamian prosecutors being recommended for the Deputy Director of Prosecutions and the Assistant Director of Prosecutions, the very two positions held by the lawyers in question. Madam President, the unfortunate situation is I can go on and on and on about questionable decisions by my predecessor that has compromised the Bahamian public and the taxpayers. But I'd like to now turn to a more positive discussion. The New Day agenda of this PLP administration and the areas of the portfolio of the Office of the Attorney General that will chart the course for a brighter future in our Bahama land. Madam President, the scope of the Office of the Attorney General is vast and all-encompassing. In fact, there is probably not one decision that goes on by the government of the Bahamas that does not involve my office. I do not today have the time to discuss every aspect of my office in the New Day agenda. However, I do wish to highlight certain areas that will have a meaningful impact on Bahamians, on the economy, and on the country at large. I also invite my colleagues in this place to read the contribution given in that other place by the Minister of State for Legal Affairs, my friend, my colleague, the Member of Parliament for Centerville, the Honorable Jomo Campbell, as he addressed many matters that we seek to advance through the Office of the Attorney General. I would like, however, to highlight one matter in which Minister Campbell discussed, especially given the grave events which have recently occurred. Just last week, the member for Centerville in that other place spoke to our commitment to pass necessary legislation and legislative amendments to facilitate the creation of a sexual offenses court, where victims are given the dignity of privacy and protection in order to bring about justice for these heinous crimes. I want my colleague and all Bahamians to know that the Office of the Attorney General will provide all the support necessary to see that this comes to fruition. In fact, we have already requested of the public service for vacant buildings and offices that are under lease, that are unoccupied. And this is a subject for another discussion, however, but trust me, Madam President, there are very many of those. With respect to the administration of justice, it is our pledge that we will administer justice in an efficient, effective, and equitable manner. We believe it is fundamental to a well-run and internationally respected jurisdiction, and must provide access to justice to all Bahamians, inclusive of the most vulnerable in our society. As foreshadowed earlier, the Department of Public Prosecutions is being reorganized to run in a fashion whereby the administration of justice is continuous, efficient, and equitable. We must ensure that there are adequate prosecutors, that the infrastructure of prosecution process is properly coordinated and achieved through a multi-agency approach, and that the courts are no longer a place viewed where prosecutions go to die. In our term, we will construct a new, state-of-the-art, purpose-built court complex, utilizing a private-public partnership framework to ensure a court complex is opened, by this administration with minimal impact to the public treasury. This will go a long way to the efficient administration of justice and is long overdue. Madam President, the Governor General rightfully proclaimed that our government is committed to executing good governance, established on the principles of transparency, integrity, and accountability. As such, the Office of the Attorney General is committed to the implementation of the Freedom of Information Act. We are in the process of relocating the Freedom of Information Commission into a suitable location where the mandate of the legislation can be properly filled. Madam President, this seems like a minor step, but if you would see the location in which they are trying to operate, there's no way anything can be accomplished in those types of facilities. As part of the implementation process, 10 entities, government agencies have been identified as part of a pilot program of the rollout of the Freedom of Information. Madam President, we are committed to implementing this as an example of transparency and good governance, consistent with the charge given in the speech from the throne. Madam President, in order for the Bahamas to emerge from the challenges faced, we must ensure that reforms are put in place to see a positive economic growth in this country, and to ensure that it's easy to enter into and conduct business in all areas of the economy. It is important that we allow Bahamians and their businesses to reap the economic rewards from foreign investment projects in the Bahamas, and to create a platform for advancement of domestic business generally. In this regard, we will amend the Hotel Encouragement Act to better provide for incentives for Bahamian-owned and joint venture boutique hotels and related tourist offerings. We will also ensure that in our negotiations, that heads of agreements with developers and hotels have commitments for the greater involvement of Bahamian professionals in all industries, including the creative industries, agribusiness, consumables, and other Bahamian products suitable for use within the tourism industry, and ensure that such provisions are complied with. We will not only negotiate these provisions, that's not a novel idea, but unlike prior governments, we will ensure that they are enforced for the greater good of Bahamians. As part of our small business legislative agenda, we have already discussed with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation the drafting of legislation to create tax incentives for small and medium-sized enterprises owned by Bahamians in order to ensure that there is a pathway for growth. As my good friend and colleague in the other place, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, advances in his constituency of South and Central Eleuthera, we must ensure that all in the Bahamas have a chance to start from the same starting line. This PLP government is committed to ensure that Bahamian small and medium businesses in the Bahamas start from the same starting line as others. See, we're not only committed to a legislative agenda that enhances opportunities for Bahamian businesses within its current economic framework, but we are also committed to legislative initiatives that promote new industries and an enhanced framework for the management and exploitation of government assets, including current government stock holdings, and in the management of the natural resources of the country to benefit Bahamians. Our government will enact appropriate legislation that will enable the lawful exploitation of the cannabis industry, creating an additional economic pillar for Bahamians. A comprehensive regulatory framework will be enacted for growing, harvesting, the production, and the export of cannabis and its byproducts, with a goal to ensuring participation on a broad basis for Bahamians in the industry. We will also look to provide a regulatory framework for industrial hemp, which will open up additional new and innovative economic opportunities for Bahamians. Madam President, this is certainly a new day for Bahamians at large. Madam President, we will enact a sovereign wealth fund, legislation where the economic development and use of our natural resources and its revenue is turned in for the long-term benefit and growth for generations of Bahamians. We will structure it in a way, Madam President, where the investments of the government and private enterprise can be held and professionally managed for the maximum benefit of Bahamians. And, Madam President, I think it's important for the maximum exposure of the natural resources of the country. Madam President, the standing of the Bahamas on the world stage is vitally important, as is the viability of our international financial services industry. We take the responsibility of compliance with international best practices seriously. In fact, Madam President, shortly after coming to office, we submitted an update to the European Union on our progress on enforcement actions and our regulatory framework in order to pursue the removal of the Bahamas from all lists by the EU. It is also important to note that as we continue to act to be compliant with the international regulatory framework in financial services, we must remain innovative and progressive in our offering. I am committed to working with my colleague, Minister Halkitis, Senator the Honorable Minister Halkitis, in ensuring that the jurisdiction remains at the forefront of financial services innovation and opportunity. This will require legislating new product offerings, facilitating the ease of doing business and commercial transactions, and working closely with other agencies of the government in order to ensure that we are viewed as a jurisdiction that people want to live and do business in. This parallel track of lifting up our financial services industry was missing in the last administration. It will be front and center in this administration. See, Madam President, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can regulate to be compliant with international best practices and innovate to give our industry a foothold for continued growth. You cannot regulate yourself out of business on one side and expect the Bahamian middle class, who was established over decades in the financial services industry, to survive on their own. You have to provide opportunities, Madam President, and this administration will provide those opportunities. Madam President, as I said, I have a large portfolio and I have not covered everything. I wish I could take the time here to do so. But maybe in another time, when I have a longer time, we'll be able to address them all. Needless to say, the Office of the Attorney General is committed to the lifting up of Bahamians in whatever fashion we can. It is committed to creating a better country for all of us to live in and creating more opportunities for Bahamians throughout our archipelago. And as I conclude, I want to thank again the Governor General for his most eloquent speech from the throne. As you can see, our government has a lot to do. We are hard at work, Madam President, and the Bahamian people will be lifted up by our New Day agenda. We have a good team led by a good leader. And I want to again thank the Prime Minister, who I have known for a long, long time. I want to thank him for his leadership. I want to thank him for his direction. I want to thank him for his humbleness, for his desire to make our country a better place to live for all of us, not just a few. I look forward to our positive stamp on the legacy of this great little country. I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you. And I support this resolution. Thank you, Madam President.
As many the chair recognizes Senator the Honorable James Turner Roll. Senator the Honorable James Roll Turner.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a mother that celebrates her 74th birthday this for the future. I sat in here this morning and I spoke with a gentleman and he said, you're from Grand Bahama? I said, yes. And he sat there and he said, man, I lost a sister. And the tears began to come out of his eyes. And I said to him, my brother, don't worry. I recognize your loss. I've suffered some of that. But a new day now dawns. This is a different time and a different dispensation. The Governor General's speech, I said to him, made it clear that there are those who care and restoration is at hand. The speech spoke of elements in tourism, healthcare matters, maritime intentions for Grand Bahama, the Grand Bahama Airport, assistance for the elderly, cultural and creative economies, and matters related to supporting small and medium-sized Bahamian businesses. All issues relevant to the many areas of our country. And this morning I declare that Grand Bahama is no exception to the list of those who accept the tone of the speech from the throne as a breath of fresh air. The speech from the throne spoke of a blueprint for change and very early noted that the government will build hospitals in New Providence and Grand Bahama through public and private sector partnerships. And this is welcome news for Grand Bahama, because as many would know, the principal hospital on the island, the Rand Memorial Hospital, was devastated during the hurricane. It was good to see that the place was being restored, but very disappointing to discover that the number of beds were being reduced. That was a strange phenomenon because we knew we were short when we started. But the good news is that the speech from the throne declared that there is coming very soon an appropriate hospital to Grand Bahama Island. And for that, we are grateful. The speech from the throne also spoke of returning tourism to past levels of prosperity and harnessing existing markets and developing investment portfolios, relevant investment portfolios to these different islands in specialized areas. And that we're also grateful because we know that Grand Bahama is really very multidimensional. It further stated, and I quote, that the government will develop strategic plans for each island. And I end that quote. All of the family of islands now have reason to celebrate. For with just that statement, the game changes. No matter where you are, no matter what you think, it seems that we can all appreciate the value of restoring tourism because COVID-19 interruptions made it very clear what the value of tourism is to our country. We witnessed the largest hotel on the island with the greatest potential outside of the nation's capital, the Grand Lucayan. We witnessed that hotel remaining in a virtually dormant state, a state that has become an embarrassment to the residents of Grand Bahama Island. You know, they sang a song there, and the song they sang then said, "Where's all the business gone? Somebody take it somewhere else." Well, these same people are now preparing for a new day because after September 16th, they have stepped forward to claim that which is lost. The sense of optimism that is turning to our island is simply incredible. Madam President, Grand Bahama stands as the most multidimensional of all of the islands in the Bahamas. And with what was spoken, we expect every island in this country to see a renaissance like never before. We expect that as these individual plans are unfolded and presented for tourism in these different islands, that we will finally see the multiplicity that exists in all of the Caribbean in one country, this country called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Madam President, I must declare that the speech from the throne exhibited an understanding of these times almost unseen in recent years. The Governor General spoke of airport development, and allow me to quote what he said because I have to be very clear with this. The government will expedite the development of airports in Exuma, Grand Bahama, and North Eleuthera. I end the quote. This shows an understanding between appropriate ports of entry and tourism development growth. It articulates that you cannot have the nation's second city and major ports of entry without an appropriate international airport. What we have in Grand Bahama today is something very unusual. But we accept that it is not appropriate, and the day is forthcoming when we can expect to have an appropriate international airport. It is evident, and by declaration from this speech, that the government is fully committed to ensuring that this economy works for every single Bahamian. we ought to stand in full support. This is not poetry, it's factual stuff. The government will amend the Hotel Encouragements Act, and my colleague earlier shared that. The government will amend the Hotel Encouragement Act to provide better incentives for Bahamian-owned and joint venture boutique hotels and related tourism offerings. The government will introduce legislation to create tax incentives for small and medium enterprises owned by Bahamians. When you are outside of Nassau, New Providence, that has very special meaning. This is fantastic because now the field gets leveled a great deal more. After years of Bahamians being disadvantaged in the Bahamas, we now have heard public declarations that a change is on the way and it can only be good for our country. All Bahamas residents should be winners. Those who temporarily reside in the Bahamas, as well as those whose home this country shall forever be. There was a time when the Bahamas' identity was affixed to culture and entertainment that was second to none anywhere in the world. I have no doubt that those were major factors that catapulted this country to such a prominent tourism status. The speech stated, the Governor General's speech from this room stated that the government strongly commits to introducing a number of initiatives to support the growth and development of the cultural and creative economies. It further states that the government will introduce measures to employ Junkanoo culture and the visual arts to driving exports in music and costumes and art. That's wonderful. The utterance of reggae to Jamaica is legendary. None will dispute it. But I would suggest to you that the greatest reggae artists will step aside to bear witness to the vibrance, the pulsating sound, and the kaleidoscope of colors that is associated with Junkanoo. So when we speak of presenting that to the international stage and exporting that, we know that we are advancing yet another pillar of success to the Bahamian economy. So for that, we're also grateful. Madam President, allow me to further describe why I'm excited about the future and hearing the speech from the throne. The speech from the throne also spoke of the fact that the government will launch the Community Youth Service and offer certain stipends for young Bahamians to provide service to NGOs and other community groups. Certainly, this is a vital bridge between school and the job market. We ought to express an element of gratitude just for that, because we now recognize that our young people are no longer left behind or dragged along. This thing suggests that we are bringing them alongside and preparing for the future. This is wonderful. This is tremendous. And you know, if I had my way, well, I have my way. I'll summarize this in one word before I move on to the next point. That act alone is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's wonderful. It's a new era. We have heard about young people not feeling like they've got a stake in what's going on. This clearly tells us that there is a position reserved for them. So it's good news. I used the word multiple dimensional earlier. Now I know that this same speech, this same presentation, speaks of an increase in pensions for old folks. You know, when you can take care of the young and upcoming, and you can take care of those who have already made their contribution, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful combination. This matter of opportunity for young people, better benefits for senior citizens, and care for the disenfranchised is a triangular commitment. The third position of this speaks of the government's commitment to ensure that no vulnerable, discouraged, or displaced segment of our society should be left behind. The record will show that the speech also indicated that there is scheduled collaboration between the government, the private sector, and non-governmental organizations to implement relief in Abaco, Grand Bahama, and Ragged Island. And that's not just selective relief for a chosen few. There are so many people in our country that have needs. I reflect on an area that's commonly called Over the Bridge in Grand Bahama, where the average home around there is about $500,000. It is truly an area that represents the middle class of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It is also an area that has been ravaged by the storms. It is also an area where many people have not returned to their homes. This is not for the lack of insurance. This is many of these very same people, when they build these homes during their prime earning potential era, 35 to 55 years old. Many of them now are older citizens who are struggling to return. We hear of support to help these people, and that is a good thing. Through partnership with social services, urban renewal, and civil society, including churches, and the government will work to ensure that every Bahamian not only receives life skill, but find food to eat, have clean water, and roof over their heads. And I know when I mention that, it seems strange to say roof over your head and clean water. But I tell you, there's a time not so long ago when we could hardly find clean water, food, or roofs in Abaco and Grand Bahama and portions of Ragged Island. So coming from Grand Bahama, we do not take those things for granted anymore. Madam President, I'll go on to say that this very same speech also shares with us that the government will make adjustments to the Commercial Enterprises Act to ensure that when jobs and opportunities are available, Bahamians receive the highest priority. I got in here from Grand Bahama yesterday, and I want to tell you there are some strange things happening around the Bahamas. There's a company in Grand Bahama. They pay to fly their people in. They pay to provide the accommodations when they are there. They provide transportation to and from the job. They provide all these things and still provide compensation to these certain individuals. No such thing happens for the same Bahamian staff that are local. It's strange. When we talk about putting Bahamians first and causing for Bahamians to receive priority treatment, that's important. Because when you know what is going on in your country and you recognize that there's a change about to happen, you get excited because you know that this change can only be good. The speech from the throne advised that, and I quote, "My government will capitalize on the ongoing success of the industrial sector of Grand Bahama and use the investment arm of the Ministry of Grand Bahama to create a one-stop shop to attract new local direct foreign investment by way of duty-free concessions across the entire island," end quote. Now, I know for many Nasuvians that sounds like poetry, but it really isn't. There are concessions in Freeport Lucaya that if you drive outside of Freeport Lucaya, you simply don't have it. Do you know if you have a business licensee in Freeport Lucaya and you purchase a $40,000 car, you don't have to pay any duty. If you are not a business licensee in Freeport Lucaya, you will pay that 65% duty. That's the difference between owning a $40,000 car and a $70,000 car. That's the difference between paying for a $40,000 car and paying $70,000. That's a big difference, especially if you buy two cars, huh? This new presentation from the throne tells us that the field will be leveled. It tells us that the Ministry of Grand Bahama becomes a one-stop shop to make life easier. A great deal of time is expended when you're coming to the islands and trying to do business. Because you have to go to the left, you go to the right, you go to the back, you go to the front, you go many places to achieve what needs to be done. And when you're done with that, you fly to Nassau. And then they take you again to the left and the right. Well, we now are pleased to hear that the Office of the Prime Minister on Grand Bahama becomes that one-stop shop that will cause for a great deal more to happen as far as prosperity for the northern Bahamas is concerned. It is great that there is scheduled this one-stop shop because all of this fragmented pieces will no longer be that impede success. Now, I know that there are those in our country who wish never to hear discussions on natural resources. But I also take note that there is also a plan to ensure that that which belongs to the Bahamian people is presented to the Bahamian people. There is no reason for the Bahamian people to not be sharing in that which they own. So I take comfort in knowing that there is something afoot that helps our country. The speech told us many things. It told us that this will be a government for many, not for a few, and promote the interests of Bahamians and the Bahamas. Madam President, I do hear say, what more can a citizen ask of their government? As such, I am pleased to go on record as indicating my pleasure and support for the speech of the throne. May God continue to bless the Bahamians and continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Madam President, I think we're off to a wonderful start. At this point, I think, Madam President, this might be a convenient time to suspend for the luncheon break. And so I move that the business of the Senate do suspend until 3 p.m. this afternoon.
Is there a seconder?
3 p.m., yes.
It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until 3 p.m. As many that are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed stand. The motion is carried. The business in this House stands suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon.